A very good evening. Welcome to Big Talk, a program where we discuss political discussions about Nigeria and how to move the country forward. Today has been a very hectic day because for those of us who went out to cover the protest led by Omoyele Sowore, the African Action Congress 2023 presidential candidate and a human rights activist, about releasing and freeing the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, NNAMDI, KANU. It was a very stressful event when we saw Omoyele Sowore and a group of protesters coming out to demand for the release of NNAMDI KANU, who's been in Nigeria's government custody since 2022, when he was brought back to the country under circumstances that the two sides could argue as to the validity and the constitutionality of that particular circumstances. But today in Abuja, we saw the protest, and I'll be bringing you, some information, and we'll also be talking to a chieftain of the AAC and a right-hand man to Omoyele Sowore, Rex Eleno, later tonight about what actually happened and what actually, took place during the protest today. We saw the protesters. Omoyele Sowore came out and gave information as to the fact that they will be protesting, moving from one point to the other, as to go to the villa, that's get to the presidential villa, so demanding for the release of the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, NNAMDI KANU, who has been in court with the federal government since he was brought back to Nigeria under those circumstances that I'm talking about. Welcome to the show tonight. My name is Ubong Osoro, and this is Big Talk, a program where we discuss political issues and forge a way forward for our country. Let's go for our first break, and when we're back, we'll get to look at some of the stories that we have and before we get into our discussion for tonight. This is Big Talk. Don't go nowhere. All right, so now let's check some of the trending discussions that we have and we're able to bring to you tonight. We'll take the first story for tonight. It says NLC gives federal government 4 weeks to resolve ASU crisis. So the Nigerian Labour Congress has resolved to issue a 4-week ultimatum to the federal government should it fail to conclude negotiations with all tertiary institution-based unions. Right, so the NLC went on a 2-week warning strike, and now they are giving the federal government 4 weeks to resolve all issues pertaining to the academic staff union of Nigerian universities. We'll keep tracking that story for you. Another story tonight. Oborowuri heads to Germany for better partnership with Julius Berger. So Delta State Governor Sheriff Oborowuri has assured Deltans that his trip to Germany could strengthen the state's partnership with construction giant Julius Berger. So the governor of Delta has traveled to Germany because he wants to seek better partnership with construction giant Julius Berger. All right, another story. Oyo PDP leaders back Makinde despite ex-Senate Chief Whip defection. The executive members of the People's Democratic Party in Oyo North Senatorial District have declared that members of the party in the district are united behind Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde, who I would like to add is also a PDP member. All right, so let's take another story. Presidency to legal authorities sanction NNAMDI KANU's lawyer for participating in protest. So the special advisor to the President Bola Tinubu on information and strategy, Bayo Nanuga, has called on legal regulatory bodies in Nigeria to sanction one of the lawyers representing the detained IPOB leader NNAMDI KANU, Mr. Aloy Ejimako, for participating in the ongoing free NNAMDI KANU protest that we saw today in Abuja. Okay, so let's take the first story I did today concerning this particular protest, and let's just get to understand what actually happened. Let's see the film now.
innocent Nigerians that we are observing their peaceful protest. They said that they have court order that we should not be in the central area. We left central area, we went to Otako side. They used tear gas and rubber bullets to attack innocent Nigerians. Those of them in Apo who are protesting, they have arrested.
I'm still looking at this particular story. We saw some videos done today, and we heard Omoyele Sowore speak in some of those videos. And let's just bring to you other videos that were done by sister TV stations, and we're able to track them for you tonight.
Nasarawa State to the Federal Capital Territory, but today it is at a standstill. Vehicles are locked in a long queue stretching for several kilometers with no sign of movement. As early as 5:30 a.m., commuters heading into the city found themselves trapped in the gridlock. Some frustrated passengers abandoned their vehicles and continued on foot. But even that offered no escape. The entire route was blocked. The situation was caused by military stop and search checkpoints mounted along the highway as troops intensified screening of vehicles and passengers entering the Federal Capital Territory. The exercise, according to reports, follows intelligence alerts about possible protests and unrest within Abuja. Meanwhile, hundreds of workers and traders commuting from Nasarawa and neighboring communities were forced to remain on the road for hours. Many are calling on authorities to find more efficient ways of conducting security checks without grounding movement. Sadia Yakubu, reporting for Global Television News.
All right, so now we also had Omoyele Sowore speak, when he was addressing the crowd. I also like to bring that before we get into our discussion tonight.
Attacked us unprovoked, and we decided that we will relocate to other parts of the city. And we are in Utako, and we will go around the city today until the city is shut down. or they free NNAMDI KANU, instead of using the soldiers and our police to fight terrorism, at Sabisa, in Zamfara, Katsina, in Benue, in Plateau, and other places, they are using them on defenseless protesters. Please, you are aware that we chose today as NNAMDI KANU now rally. But we also must tell Nigerians that today is one of the darkest days in the history of Nigeria. NSAS protest 2020 is 5 years today. So we are going to take a minute silence to recognize the heroes who were killed at the Lekki toll gate for NSAS. Can you take a minute silence?
Silence, please. Take off your caps.
May their souls continue to pursue their oppressors.
Amen.
Free NNAMDI KANU now. It's not a tribal issue. It is not a religious issue. It is not a sentimental issue. It's a social justice issue for us. We are not here as Igbos or Yorubas or Hausas. In fact, if you look around very well, there are a lot of Igbos, there are a lot of Hausas and Yorubas. All united to ensure that our brother is brought back home. That they should end the sham trial that is going on at the Federal High Court. If they don't do that, they will get more. And they know that a lot of Nigerians are sitting with anger. It's not about NNAMDI KANU alone. There's hunger, there's starvation in this country. There's political oppression. There's a lot of corruption going on under the Tinubu. So very soon, this crowd you see will be bigger than that of Nepal. Let the people be moving. Free NNAMDI KANU now. Free NNAMDI KANU now. Free NNAMDI KANU now.
Tonight, to help make sense of this discussion, is a young man who was part of that protest. You just looked at the last video we showed you. Behind you, where you see him, Rex Elanu, who is an AAC chieftain and also an activist, right? So we'll go for a short break, and when we're back, we'll talk about national politics, free NNAMDI KANU, implications and consequences. What are the implications and what are the consequences for our nation at this particular time? Let's go for this break. We'll be right back. A very stressful day for Rex. I know it's been a very stressful day, but thank you for still trying to speak to us and actually, speaking to us. So walk us through what happened today. What actually happened? Because I came, I was at the National Secretariat. I saw when the police were dispersing the protesters with, firing canisters of tear gases and all of that. And for them, it was about trying to protect infrastructure, national infrastructure. But just walk us around what actually happened. I saw you. There's a picture. There's a video of Shore that I just played when Shore was speaking. I saw you just behind him. And when I called the other time, I knew you were at the police station. Just generally, what actually happened today?
Well, what happened today is just exactly what we told Nigerians, that we are coming out today to have a peaceful protest to free NNAMDI KANU. And like you know, the Nigerian government, they are always uncomfortable when citizens say they want to express their fundamental human rights of assembly and, you know, association. And they tried to get a court order to bar us from protesting. That did not work. So when our people came out, when Shore came out and some of our comrades protest at Mitama, just before they could even converge for up to 5 minutes, they were tear gassed. Peaceful protest. There was no threat to any infrastructure. There was no threat to law and order. There was no threat even to traffic. In fact, it was the state actors themselves who barricaded a lot of the entrances to Abuja metropolis that caused traffic, that caused chaos and hardship for Nigerians who were trying to access their workplaces. So immediately after they were tear gassed, we reconvened at Utako. We had a march towards Jabi. We were tear gassed brutally again. In fact, at that scene, there was a girl who was in one of those plazas who wasn't even part of our protest, who was asthmatic. She was tear gassed that she fainted, and people were trying to resuscitate her. Then we reconvened again at Apo Mechanic, where we had more supporters who joined us in the agitation. That time, it was when they even mobilized all the forces, the police, the army, the immigration, every uniform force in Nigeria that should have been mobilized to the northeast and all the trouble zones, northwest, north central, the trouble zones of Nigeria were mobilized for peaceful protesters. These were the same people who claimed that they got a court order for us not to protest around Aso Rock or around Shehu Shagari Way. Apo Mechanic was not near us. In fact, Apo Mechanic is distant, miles away from Aso Rock. Yet they came there in full force to tear gas people. They were even shooting tear gas canisters into a petrol station. That's how callous and unprofessional and irresponsible our Nigerian forces are. Funny enough, these policemen who were used on ground to do these dirty jobs are policemen who are going to retire to 1.5 million naira gratuity, 18,000 naira pension. They are policemen who aren't going to earn any special allowance for the dirty job they did today. Then from Apo, we reconvened again at Gudu. Immediately we were leaving Gudu, they tear gas everybody again at Gudu. Then it came to our notice that some of our comrades, of course, the lead counsel of NNAMDI KANU, who's Barrister Aloy Ejimako, and the younger brother of NNAMDI KANU, we are arrested. With several other comrades who we learned were arrested from Utako and from Apo. So we went to the FCT Police Command to get them released. And of course, like you know, the police, in their normal, usual, irresponsible manner and unprofessional manner, they were tossing us around. We went to the force headquarters. We had to come back again to the FCT Command. And when it was clear that all they were doing was just to waste time and get them detained, and they claimed that the IG instructed that those who were detained should be interviewed, or what so they called it. Here at the FCT Command, policemen came out again when they got irritated by our presence at the FCT Command and shot tear gas canisters directly at protesters. In fact, 2 of our comrades were shot with canisters on their bodies with injuries inflicted on them. So what does this tell us as Nigerians? We are not in a society that practices democracy. We are in a society where drug laws are pardoned, bandits come with RPGs to negotiate, army and police are carrying cameras all around bandits, community people are hailing them even after collecting tax from the same community. And yet peaceful protesters are highly intolerant. They don't tolerate peaceful protests in Nigeria. That cannot be called a democracy. This is a country where you are taxing everybody. We don't even have simple electricity in Nigeria, not to talk of justice. All the institutions in Nigeria are dead. Judiciary, INEC, legislature, they are all being pocketed. We are now living like people in a captured state. This ought not to be so. And when people see us rise up and bring NNAMDI KANU today, or pay police salaries tomorrow, or we see us fighting for an egalitarian society, it's not because we just like to inhale tear gas or be detained. It's because we have come to the realization, conscious realization, that such a country that has gone down to this irresponsible level can never be liberated without a mass resistance, without a mass uprising. And we are unapologetic about the truth. Until and only until Nigerians have a revolution, we will continue running around in circles. Who go jagba, and who will become victims, helpless victims will become helpless victims.
Right. So, okay,
I don't want to be like that.
Okay,
Rex. Don't want to fall that.
Rex,
that's why we do what we do.
Yeah, thank you. But let's look at the issues that have also been raised by the Nigerian government. That this is a matter that is in courts of competent jurisdiction and is undergoing judicial processes. And is it not best to allow the judicial system to take its course? What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's one of the hypocritical lines that our oppressors always play for us to keep ourselves busy. We keep regurgitating irrelevant stories to ourselves. Is in court. How many of those bandits with RPGs were charged to court? Some of them were pardoned and even absorbed into, in fact, they were absorbed into the Nigerian army. How many of those drug lords who were pardoned came to court? You see, so we keep telling ourselves it's in court. This case has been in court for years, and yet only one witness was presented in court who came to court, who dared to come and say NNAMDI KANU wasn't seen with any arm or ammunition or not even any dangerous weapon. And you keep telling, we keep repeating to ourselves that the case is in court. Which court? The court of Nigeria already said that he should be set free, and yet the Federal High Court is disobeying what the appeal and Supreme Court has positioned. Yet we are failing to realize that NNAMDI KANU was extraordinarily renditioned from Kenya. In the first place, the method in which the Buhari regime brought NNAMDI KANU back to Nigeria makes it possible to try him before any court of law in Nigeria. So let's stop singing their narrative and regurgitating their deceptive, manipulative lines. The case is in court. What is in court? What court in the world will you see anybody apply for a court to bar people from protesting their fundamental human rights? So we keep deceiving ourselves. Is in court. The judicial system is under siege. Almost all the vital institutions in Nigeria are under siege, and it's our duty to liberate the judiciary. It's our duty to liberate the National Assembly. It's our duty to liberate even so-called independent actors like INEC, who are actually not independent. They have just gotten a new INEC chairman, and I don't want to say anything stupid, but I'm sure that your guess is as good as mine. Tinubu has already appointed 11 Supreme Court judges, and you just by 7 of them to decide a presidential case. Nobody is going to win Tinubu in any election. Egbetoku, who's supposed to have retired, the IG of police, who's supposed to have left office since 24 September, has been given extra time to stand ground and hold ground for his master. We are living in a capture pit, and I say it to you apologetically.
Right.
Until Nigerians rise demand the country they desire and deserve, we will continue running around in this rat race and in endless circles of poverty, oppression, hardship, insecurity, and all that you see us suffering today.
Right. So, but today, still staying on the protest. Today we saw, we saw another set of a group of people who are also protesting that NNAMDI KANU should not be released. And as I was going through, I'm trying to read some notes, I saw some persons who've also written to that effect, right? They've talked about the fact that maybe directly or indirectly, NNAMDI KANU may have, incited some level of unrest, especially in the southeast part of Nigeria. And we saw them, we'll also have videos of them who were protesting, saying NNAMDI KANU should not be released. Are you bothered that it seems, as to any thoughts, as you think in this divide, other people are also thinking in the other divide?
The truth is that anytime there's a call for justice in Nigeria, our oppressive class always gets some charlatans that they sponsor to push their narrative. The guy who led the protest against NNAMDI KANU's release, somebody Ofebu called Ijele, is someone who was languishing in prison throughout last year. In fact, over a year plus, he was languishing in prison with kidney infection. We were the ones who fought for his release, not because we believe that his ideals or what he said are what resonates with us, but we were just concerned about the injustice that was meted out to him. Because once there's injustice and we identify it, irrespective of whether you are a friend or foe, we stand up against such injustice, knowing that we should not allow the tradition of injustice grow, because it will haunt all of us tomorrow. Ijele was released by us when the APC who used him during Buhari regime forgot him in prison for over a year. Only for him to be released now and has been recruited by the new APC of Tinubu to carry on from where he stopped. So such characters are not people that I really want to spend my time talking about. When the same character of Ijele, they gathered some small outside boys to protest in Abuja, they were escorted by police, they were escorted by road safety, they were given maximum security, nobody tear gas them, nobody went to get a court order to stop them from protesting. But when we came out to exercise our own rights, that free NNAMDI KANU, they unleashed all the security forces that should have been fighting insecurity all over Nigeria on us. I pity those policemen. A lot of them are hungry and tired. In fact, towards the end, they were frowning their faces because obviously there was no extra allowance for that petty job they were called upon to do. So it's clear we can continue to explain, analyze, discuss so many issues around Nigeria in the most politically correct form, but it will do us no good. Buhari took 8 years from my life. Tinubu has taken 2 years from my life. A 10-year-old child by now should be writing common entrance into secondary school. Is this the life I want to live? How many Nigerian youths are living their dreams? We don't even dream again. We don't even aspire with any ambition. We just live to survive for the day, pay rent, pay school fees, and move on. Is that the kind of life we want to live? How old are we? What's the life expectancy of an average Nigerian? When are we going to have a country where we can go on vacation, where people can earn minimum wage that are decent, living wages? When are we going to have a country where a policeman doesn't work for 35 years to come and earn 1.5 million naira as his gratuity and 18,000 naira as his pension? When are we going to have a society where people can be secure in their farms to produce food and live in their ancestral homes without being evicted by ragtag bandits who will be pardoned tomorrow by government, given cash tomorrow by government, and even rehabilitated and absorbed into the Nigerian military?
Right. So still staying on this. There's a discussion about the fact that maybe at this time the mood of the country does not favor a kind of mass protest like this. I'm coming because some analysts, especially if you go on Twitter, you see some persons say, so we don't have a repeat of what happened during the NSAS, because it seems that the country is tense with the reforms of the present administration trying to take roots, and an ignition may lead to carnage, may lead to destruction of properties. So maybe that's why the government, are you also thinking about the mood of the country at the time, and could there have been a better time?
As we speak, carnage, destruction is going on every part of this country every day. People are being sacked from their homes. What is the government doing about it? People are being relieved of their ancestral villages, of their jobs, of their livelihoods. What is the government is not even concerned about that. Nigerians are tired. The only problem we have is fear. A lot of people are so scared seeing how brutally this state forces attack peaceful protesters. A lot of people are scared. But I tell you today on your show that a time is coming, and it's not far away, where Nigerians will have to choose the hard choice between fear and survival. And at that point in time, fear will not even be an occurrence in their consciousness, because all they will be looking out for is survival. By the time the tax policies of Tinubu starts being implemented next year, I'm sure a lot of Nigerians will graduate from the stage of fear into the stage of survival. And by that time, I pray that we'll not be here discussing about the protests can turn into some carnage and destruction and the rest. The destruction that this irresponsible politicians are doing to our commonwealth is more than any destruction of be done on the street. You can imagine how people steal money with impunity. Last time I saw a report, Wike cornered $300 million meant for Ogoni people, and nobody from Ogoni could speak a word. Tinubu will boast that he's generating IGR everywhere, yet he's still borrowing money. People like Akpabio, ignoble characters are handling our society, and we are here discussing about carnage. Are people ready for protest? People are ready for a resistance, but the consciousness is growing. The awakening of such consciousness takes time. It comes because we want Nigerians to rise up in their consciousness of fear, to embolden themselves and realize that this country belongs to us. People here behave like God are supposed to be servants of the master, beneficiaries of democracy, but they have turned themselves into semi-gods, and we cannot all be quiet in this country. We are not captured people, we are citizens. If everybody wants to die in fear, some of us have decided that we'd rather die speaking the truth than to die as helpless victims of one of the nonsense that these people have created, whether by insecurity or by police brutality or whatever you talk about.
All right.
So the truth is, Nigeria has come to the stage where we must make that tough decision and choose what we really want as our future and as our nation. The people who are agitating for Biafra, Ududu, and all this self-determination is because there's no social justice. And the only way to keep Nigeria united is not by police, tear gas, army, and all these things. It's by justice. Right. Justice can unite Nigeria. We must do away with our fraudulent military documents called 1999 Constitution and sit on a round table where we renegotiate this country and the interest of everybody is put to play.
Right. So
that happens.
Yeah. Let's go for our first break. I'll call you as I still have maybe just a few questions to ask you as we try to round up the conversation. Thank you so much, Rex Elenu. We'll go for a short break, and when we're back, we'll still have you on the line. All right. So. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Big Talk on Global Television, a program where we highlight national issues. And tonight we're looking at national politics, the Free NNAMDI KANU campaign, implications and consequences. And helping us to help make sense of the discussion tonight, we have a chieftain of the AAC, that's the African Action Congress, Rex Elenu, who is a prominent political figure and advocate for inclusive governance in Nigeria, who is joining us tonight on the show. Thank you so much, Rex, again for staying with us. I know, like I mentioned earlier on the show, you've had a very stressful day. Just a few other questions before we could allow you to go get your rest. The number of people that came out for the protests today, were you motivated by the plea? And some persons say they expected to see more, especially in the southeast region, knowing that NNAMDI KANU holds, has a large following in that particular region. But it seems if in that region we didn't really have, a lot of people come out to join. Are you bothered that it seems those from the southeast may not be, on coming along or following, this particular protest?
Okay, what I would say happened is, for sure, I know that a lot of people came into town, into Abuja for this protest from the southeast, from every part of the country, southwest, every part of the country. A lot of people came into this town for the protest. And our security forces, having gotten intelligence that there were a lot of protesters on ground to protest, resorted to not even allowing any convergence up to 30 minutes because they knew that if they allowed us to converge, a lot of people will locate us. And don't forget that this morning, even before the break of dawn, they had already barricaded major entrances into Abuja metropolis to prevent people from accessing town. So each time we tried to convene, we had 5 different protests today. Each time we tried to convene, they disperse us because they don't want the people who are already in town to join us. Metama, when people were tear gas, a lot of us were just trying to get to the protest ground when they were tear gas. When we moved from Metama, a lot of people were trekking. The vehicular movement in the town was so bad because people were caught up in traffic. People had to trek. Some of the older men who came to protest couldn't even keep up with the stress. You know what it means from moving from Metama to Tago to Jabi to Apo to Gudu to FCT Command. It's very burdensome, and a lot of people couldn't cope with such movement. It was distorted. So it was deliberate. There were a lot of people in town today to protest. A lot of people traveled all the way from the southeastern states down to Abuja to protest. But the security forces deliberately prevented us from converging long enough to have most of the people meet us up at the new location. So that's why it looked like people were not much. But if you look at the one that happened in Apo, a lot of guys came out to join us in Apo, and it was in Apo that was most brutal, where they mobilized all the forces in Nigeria against us. Now, going forward, I think people have learned from this. This is just the beginning of this resistance. The government not even rest and deceive themselves that people will go back into their shells, because as long as this socio-economic injustice continues to prevail in Nigeria, people are hungry, people are tired, everything is just wrong, you will never have peace. We have over 20 million out of school children. We have over 139 million people living in multidimensional poverty. As long as these images don't change, you cannot expect. We're just sitting on a ticking time bomb. And if we want to announce a new date, because this struggle is going to continue, we want NNAMDI KANU free. It's a statement to the government. You cannot keep somebody in detention without any reason, and you want us to keep quiet. It's an injustice that will come for us as well. It has been happening, and if we don't resist as a people, it will keep occurring, and in bigger folds. So the next time we are going to be they find themselves. People think it's an Igbo. Look at the protest today. Igbo, Hausa, Yoruba, we were all on the ground protesting for justice. It was not a Biafra protest, it was a protest for justice, for the freedom of NNAMDI KANU. So don't fall for the tricks of the ruling oppressive class. A lot of people came out to protest. They were deliberate about making sure that we were not able to converge in our numbers. But against all odds, we proved to them that the power of the people is always stronger and greater than the people in power. And this struggle for a better Nigeria, for an egalitarian society, is not, where there's no going back. It's just starting. We are going to continue keeping the consciousness high, awakening Nigerians to realize that the power is in our hands, and we don't have to be cowards and hypocrites hiding in our shells out of fear. It's high time that we came out, all of us, and speak as a people that have been captured and oppressed. So right, this is our position.
Right. Yeah, I saw prior to this particular protest where Oyele Sowore posted that he's going to lay aside his political differences with some political leaders like Atiku Abubakar and the rest of them if they could join. I'd like to get confirmation. Did you have some politicians who look at this cause and are like, okay, this is something I want to give credence to? Did they come out to actually join the protest?
Well, to be fair to them, a lot of them don't have the courage to come out in the face of flying canisters of tear gas. A lot of them don't want to come out and risk. A lot of them have underlying health issues. So, to be fair to them, with all the flying canisters and oppression around, even if they were around the venue and planning to join us, they will naturally just go back home in fear and caution for their own health and safety. So, none of them actually, I didn't see article. I didn't see most of those politicians, but that's not really our issue.
Right.
The power of the people is not about politicians, it's about the masses themselves. We're over 200 and something million people in Nigeria. Why do we have to wait for an article or for any politician to be part of a cause that affects all of us as Nigerians? By the time we begin to rise, you realize that even the big men who use the so-called big men in quotes will also be powerless and helpless, because even the electorates have always remained the major power of Nigeria. That's why these corrupt politicians come every 4 years to whether buy our power or manipulate our power or coerce us into a point of submission. But going forward, it's time that all hands are on deck. The decision to liberate Nigeria is no longer optional. It's now a necessity. It's all hands, both the media, you guys in the media, the civilians, those in uniform, everybody has a part and a role to play. And I'm happy that people like you are coming out to air the voices of oppressed Nigerians. The mainstream media are very, very lackadaisical about very sensitive reports like NNAMDI KANU. A lot of them, I wouldn't say they're coerced or bribed, but you can see their silence is very, very conspicuous. And thank God for social media, because we don't even really rely on those mainstream media. People can go to social media and see for themselves the real deal, what's happening in town. And that's going to be their biggest albatross. Eventually, when Nigerians will rise, I wonder if we'll have time to sit and discuss in a TV program. You will have to bring your TV station to the barricades and get real information for yourself.
All right, so there are issues around the fact that maybe there seems to be some political undertone. Why now? Why NNAMDI KANU? Some persons have even talked about the fact that there are a lot of other Nigerians who are languishing in detention, in jail and all of that, and nobody seems to be protesting on their demand. Is it because NNAMDI KANU has a large following and maybe want to, get into that following and tap maybe acceptance from that particular, following? There are discussions around that. Have we really shown love to NNAMDI KANU before now? I like that you also talk about other Nigerians who may not be this popular, who may not, have this kind of followership, to actually push people to want to come out. But they're ordinary Nigerians. Are you and your group and your team also looking at speaking out for them, or is it just for NNAMDI KANU, who is really well known and it may spark some form of followership?
Well, if you follow through the mobilization that preceded this action, which lasted, the mobilization markets and business places, mobilizing people's consciousness towards today. If you follow that exercise very closely, you realize that we were very emphatic. We were even mentioning Nigerians who were kidnapped from their homes in the southeastern part of Nigeria and locked up in a place called Wawa Barracks in Niger State. We were very emphatic about releasing all detainees that were unjustly detained. It's not just about NNAMDI KANU. But you see, when you say, why NNAMDI KANU, why NNAMDI KANU?
Hello, Rex, are you with us? Yeah, go ahead.
Why? Sorry?
Yeah, go ahead. We lost you for a minute, but go ahead. We can hear you now.
I don't know if you got the part where I said we were emphasizing throughout the mobilization that preceded this action that we were coming out to protest for NNAMDI KANU's release and the release of other Nigerians who were illegally detained, especially those who are kept in Wawa Barracks. You see, in the south, if somebody doesn't like you, can just go and report you that you are IPOB, and the next thing, the Nigerian military comes, pick you up and take you straight to Wawa Barracks. A lot of people in the southeast have not seen their relatives. They even think they are dead. Some of them are not dead. They are languishing in a place called Wawa Barracks in Niger State. The same Niger State that is not far from Kwara State, where we are having new terrorist group emerge. Our government have not found it expedient to quash those terrorist groups, but they are more concerned about us. Now, if you say why NNAMDI KANU alone, is it because he has popular following? Of course, we all know that NNAMDI KANU is one of the major reasons why there's unrest in the Southeast today. It's one of the major reasons. His detention is the reason why the Southeast has been militarized. And I've never forgotten a video we saw, all of us. One of the IPOB guys who the government claimed they arrested or they killed, or I don't know what, they are not even sincere about what happened. They call him Gentle the Yahoo. There's a video where he made long ago and indicted Governor Hope Uzodinma as one of those sponsoring the insecurity in his own state.
Those are
and this is no
allegations.
news, except for one ourselves. A lot of the Southeastern governors are part and parcel of the insecurity. They are the ones who receive funds for security.
Those are heavy allegations, Rex, on national TV.
Yes, these are not just allegations. These are known truths that we all see and hide away from because we want to be politically correct, because we want to avoid the wrath of evil men who have been privileged to handle positions of power. See, we keep deceiving ourselves, we will not get freedom. The truth will set us free. And we cannot be pampering evil politicians because we are scared of telling them the truth to their faces. The Southeastern governors are all complicit. All of them are complicit. NNAMDI KANU is not their favorite. They don't want him out. He doesn't represent their interests. And that's why they're all playing politics and claiming to be meeting with Tinubu. You can see all of them decamping to APC. Are those kind of people that are serious or principled or have any conviction that relates to justice? No. But we just keep pampering them and lying to ourselves, and that's why we keep remaining victims to the same system. We in the Take It Back movement, in the African National Congress, we don't lie to ourselves. We tell ourselves the truth, even if it means us spending our time in jail. We tell ourselves the truth, and that's why we're calling on all Nigerians. Let's stop being afraid of the truth, because it's the only thing that can set us free. Let's stop pampering people who don't have our interests at heart. They will never repent. No matter how you pamper them, you will not belong to their own political club.
Right.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah, we have less than 5 minutes to go. Just a few other questions. Did you write officially to inform the police about the protests of today, and were they aware to also offer security?
If you look at all the mobilization exercises that happened from Hubo to Dede to Annex to Gudu to all the places that Shure visited with NNAMDI KANU's lawyers and NNAMDI KANU Young, Maxwell Okpara continuously emphasized that we have written to the police, we have informed them, we have asked them to protect us, the police have said this and that and agreed, but what happened? 2 days to the protest, the same police were seeking a court order to stop Nigerians from exercising their fundamental rights. On the D-Day of the protest, the same Nigerian police mobilized resources. You will be amazed the day you hear the budget that was released for them to fuel their vehicles and take care of logistics for our protest today. A lot of the senior police officers that are in the government probably must have made some cool cash, while the ones who were sent to do the dirty job were not even paid extra allowance. In fact, we were even giving some policemen bottled water today at the FCT command to drink. That's how bad it is. So we wrote to the police, we informed the police, but it's not in their interest to protect Nigerians who are protesting. It's only in their interest to protect those who the political elite say protect, like Ijele, people who are protesting against NNAMDI KANU's release. Those are the people that get protection, not people who are protesting against the shenanigans and corruption of those in power.
Right.
You can't expect them to protect them.
Right. So going forward, you talked about a new date maybe said going forward, what should we be expecting? Maybe a dialogue. I think a dialogue is better. Maybe there should be some kind of dialogue, because some people have talked about a political solution to this NNAMDI KANU quagmire. All right, so I have on my screen, this is coming from Uyele Shore's page on Facebook. It says, "No justice, no peace, a new date for free NNAMDI KANU coming out soon." But what are we expecting, Rex? What should we be expecting?
You see, Thomas Jefferson once said, when injustice becomes law, resistance becomes, necessary. Resistance becomes duty. So it's injustice has become enshrined in our daily activities as Nigeria, especially with the institutions who are supposed to protect democracy. So once such an injustice has become law, it's now up to us as duty to resist it. So when Shore says that a new date to be announced is something that is not new, a new date to be announced, more people will be mobilized to the streets of Nigeria, and we have always been clear about it. Only a massive uprising can liberate this country from the shackles and stranglehold of evil politicians that have never meant us well. That is as simple as that. We don't garnish it. We don't even speak so deceptive about it. We are so straight to the point about it. And that day is not far away. You think Nigerians are stupid? You think they will be scared for so long? Don't worry. It's just a very short time. Spontaneously, oppressed Nigerians will have to choose between survival and fear. And I can tell you, once a man's life is threatened and he has nothing to lose, fear will not be an option anymore.
Right. Thank you so much, Rex Eleno, for taking our time to speak to us. You've had a really busy day. I wish you all of the best in the struggle, and I wish that things don't go bad. We are able to amicably resolve this. There's nothing that cannot be resolved when we sit down to talk. Thank you so much, Rex, for speaking to us tonight on the show. We really do appreciate your time. Wish you all of the best.
Thank you for having me. If the government wants peace, they should release NNAMDI KANU now.
Thank you. I know the government has heard your message. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. So we've been speaking to Rex Eleno, who is a chieftain of the AAC, that's the African Action Congress, and one of the organizers of today's protest in Abuja, where we saw Omeyele Sowore, Rex Eleno, and Oshiok, and a few other persons who were the organizers of the protest. You know, when I went to the Federal Secretariat, covered the protest, where we saw the police tear gas, at the protesters to disperse them. And I followed up, as to the other places where they were. And I like he said, they started at Maitama, they had to move to Tako, and later they moved to Apo. But the protest wasn't really able to get as coordinated as they had planned. But that's it for today and for tonight. And we wish that Nigeria get to a place. Protest is fundamental rights. We see it happen in every country, right? But we have to be very peaceful, and we have to keep loving the country. We must resist anything to raise tension that will cause mayhem or carnage. That's our take tonight on the program. Thank you so much for being a part of the program, and love Nigeria. Do your best to serve the country well and be a good citizen. My name is Ubong Sora in Abuja, and I'm saying bye for now.